Hey, my name is Carlos, and I'm going to show you exactly how we do SEO audits and how we use AI to power our digital marketing services over at Tabula. Yes, SEO can seem complicated. Every brand, every industry is unique, which means that how everyone does SEO looks completely different from everyone else. That's kind of what makes it confusing. So instead of teaching you SEO, I'm just going to walk you through our audit process so that you can see how we work and how we do things, and hey, maybe you'll learn a thing or two. And stick around till the end so that you can see how we use AI to strategize content ideas that consumers actually care about. And if you want to get an audit like this one, just leave your website in the comments and we'll get it done. Today we're going to be looking at bondinghealth.com. Okay, so the first thing I do is kind of have a quick look at the website, kind of get familiar with what they're doing. A parenting app for children with ADHD. They got journals. They seem to be blogs. Yeah, journals or blogs. Okay. As you know, there's three main pillars when it comes to SEO: technical SEO, off-page SEO, and on-page SEO. When you have those three things done correctly, you have a strong foundation for a digital marketing strategy. We at Tabula, we are a search-first AI marketing agency. Everything we do is around having a strong SEO foundation. So the first thing we're gonna do is kind of look at technical SEO, because it doesn't matter how good your website is if search engines and LLMs can't crawl your website in the first place. Okay, so to start the technical audit, we'll go to bondinghealth.com/sitemap.xml to get the sitemap. After doing some digging on this website, I realized there seems to be a problem with the sitemap. And that's important because a sitemap's job is to tell search engines and LLMs exactly what is on your website. That's why it's called a sitemap. As you will see later in the audit, there's links that are missing. Okay, so we're gonna paste the sitemap into Screaming Frog and we're gonna crawl, and as you can see, it found 56 URLs. But as I mentioned, there's something wrong with this sitemap, which will come to light in a moment. We're gonna take that crawl and export only the HTML pages and paste them into this document. But before I do that, just so you know, this document is a document we use at Tabula where we can basically analyze everything. We have data from Google Analytics 4, we have data from Screaming Frog, we have data from Google Search Console, and we have data from SEMrush. And just like I'm about to do with you right here for Bonding Health, we take these insights and start putting together a plan for the technical SEO fixes. And of course, it goes without saying that the technical health of your website is not at all reflective of the quality of your product or service. And that's why you need professionals like SEO specialists, agencies, internal hires to come in, find the things that are wrong, and fix it. But as you're about to see, it can look very different from everyone else. Okay, so let's go ahead. We go to the Screaming Frog raw file. We're gonna paste the crawl we just did. Then we're gonna go to SEMrush, and then we're gonna export the indexed pages report. You go to Backlink Analytics, type your URL, go over to indexed pages, and here you're gonna see all the pages that SEMrush crawled and found ranked. We're gonna take this file, copy it, go over to SEMrush index pages raw, paste it. Then we go to organic research to look at the keywords. But let me just make sure, are these guys just in the US? Yeah, Miami Beach, Florida. Okay, yeah, because obviously you can do this report for different places. Like they rank in the UK and in Canada. But in this case, we're gonna of course explore the US performance. So we scroll down, we click on view all the 418 keywords, and we're gonna export this entire report of all the keywords they're ranking over in the US. So we export it as a CSV, of course. We take the report, copy it. I think you know the drill by now. We go over to our Tabula audit tool, paste everything. So all the raw documents are pasted. We don't have the data for Google Analytics 4. We don't have data for Google Search Console queries or pages. But we have all of this already populated, as you can see. Everything was flagged immediately. Okay, so right off the bat, I can see that there's a lot of H1s missing here, and that's a big issue. Look, the way this works is that every single page, whether it's a blog or a regular page on a website, has to have a strong heading structure, which means H1, H2, H3, H4, etc., all the way to H6. You don't need to have all of them, but what you do need to have on every single page you ever make is one and only one H1, because the H1 basically tells Google and large language models what is this page all about just by reading that one title. So when Google crawlers get to your page and they don't find an H1, it confuses them and they try to make sense of your page based on everything else, but you're not helping them. You need to give them that H1. Okay, so now we're gonna be looking at indexability. I can see that there's one page set to no index, which means we're telling Google to not put this on Google. I wonder if that's on purpose. Managing screen time. I don't think this is a page that the business owner would not want to have ranked. Maybe it is, but for now I'm gonna flag that as something to look into. Google Analytics 4, this is important because here, of course, we don't have the data because it's an audit before I can have access to their Google Analytics. As you're gonna see later, we're gonna be building a page map with all the pages that they need to have. But before we decide which pages that they already have we need to get rid of or change or mix with other pages, I need to see, well, how much traffic are they getting? Same with the Google Search Console data. How many clicks? How many impressions? Okay, now into the interesting stuff. We're looking at folder depth. I don't see anything in red, and that's good, but it's also kind of bad because I don't see any 2s or 3s. Folder depth is about how many clicks you need to get through in order to get to that page. You don't ever want to be higher than 3, and if I had anything here higher than 3, it would be flagged as red. But I also don't see any 2s or 3s, which means that there's no URL hierarchy, and that's very important to communicate to crawlers, the structure of a website and the structure of your content. So what I'm gonna do is just quickly take all of the URLs and I'm gonna copy them and paste them into this tab called Website Map. So this Website Map tab on the Tabula Audit tool is basically where we're gonna be adding all of their existing URLs as well as all of the new pages that we recommend that they add to build topical authority on their website. So going back to the Bonding Health website here, I'm gonna just group all of the pages together that seem to have the same hierarchy. So as you can see here, this says harmony and focus. So let's just check it out really quickly, just to get an idea. Ooh. So these seem to be animations, and that's actually a problem because you don't want to have these pages ranking on Google. Let me just quickly see this other page that they have ranking. So, okay. So once again, after I did some digging on this website, I noticed that they have a lot of pages that should not be indexed that are indexed, and they have a lot of pages that should be indexed that are not indexed. Okay, so now we're looking at size of all the pages. None of the pages are overly large, so that's fine. When we look at page word count, what we look for is not necessarily to make anything shorter. This is only highlighting the top 10% of pages, just to kind of keep an eye if anything looks outrageous. When it comes to readability, we like to flag anything that is hard, fairly hard, or very hard. And depending on the industry, depending on the context of the client, we like to go in there and fix them. Look, fixing the readability of your pages is not going to push your website from position 20 to position 1 overnight. But it is one of those things that you want to make sure you do everything in your power to make sure the user experience is good. And making your content easy to read is a good experience. Of course, there's a lot of nuances, like it depends on your industry. If this was a lawyer's website and some things were difficult to read, it probably makes sense. So of course, that's where you have to use your own, professional judgment to see what needs to be fixed. In this particular case, I would definitely want to fix this because the consumer or the target audience of Bonding app is, from what I gather, parents who want to download this app to make it easier to navigate the challenges of parenting a child with ADHD. And I don't think we need to complicate text for this. Okay, now we're going to be getting here to the link score. This is one of the most important things that we look at when we look at Screaming Frog analysis. The link score basically tells you which pages have the strongest link juice, as we like to call it in the SEO profession. Link juice basically means how many other pages are linking to that page, and it's usually the home page. So as we can scroll down, as you can see, the home page is the one that has a score of 100, and it has 32 inlinks and 32 unique inlinks. Inlinks are the number of links from your own website that are linking back to that page. So obviously for the home page, we got 32 different pages, 32 unique links. Of course, that's not the only thing. As many of you know, backlinks are one of the most important things when it comes to SEO. So when we look at this page in the home page, it seems to be the one with the most backlinks. It has 39 backlinks and 21 referring domains. And as you can see, none of the other pages that the crawl caught have any other backlinks, which means every single time that Bonding Hell has been referred to or linked to from other pages, they've all gone to the home page, which is very common. But of course, that means that the home page is the most powerful, or the page that has the most link juice, and you want to make sure you leverage that by linking from the home page to other pages on your website that you want to improve the SEO rankings for. Now, when it comes to all the other links, I'm not going to spend time going through all of these columns in this video, but basically you want to have very few JavaScript links, whether they're external links or internal links, and you want to make sure that every single page has at least one inlink, because as you can see in this website, many of the pages do not have any inlinks, and that's a problem because that means that there's no link juice flowing from page to page. Okay, so now we're moving on and looking at meta titles, and this one is also a bit of a red flag because all of these pages, if they're supposed to be indexed, because now I'm starting to wonder whether the ones that don't have metadata are pages that are supposed to not be indexed, but again, I don't have that knowledge. I haven't spoken to the client, But if every page in here is supposed to be indexed, there's a lot of metadata missing. Meta titles, meta descriptions, and that's a problem. Not only are some of them missing, but a lot of them are past the limit of 60 characters for the meta title, and many of them are past the limit of 155 to 160 characters in the description. And especially right here, when we're looking at the meta description, there's one description here that is just way too big. You need to remember, this description here is not going to pop up like that on search results. In case you're not familiar, metadata is the text that search engines use to show on the search results. So that blue text you see on search results and that small paragraph you see on search results, that's metadata. If you don't have one, then Google is going to write one for you. And if you set it yourself, then the idea is that you set it in a way that is optimized. And there's 4 most important places where you can put keywords to rank for something. That's the URL, that's the H1 title, the meta title, and the very first paragraph of your page. And so one of them is the meta title. I personally always try to include the keywords also in the description, but meta title, H1, URL, and first paragraph of every page is the most critical part to have the keywords that you're trying to rank for. Okay, and now we're going to be looking at the H1s. And now, if this was my website, this would be one of the very first things that I start to fix when it comes to on-page optimization, because like I mentioned earlier, H1s are the most important thing on a page to tell Google crawlers and LLM crawlers what the page is all about. And these guys seem to have, let's see here, they seem to have 27 H1-2s, which means they have that 27 pages have 2 H1s. There's a bunch of pages missing H1s in the first place, and then there's 27 pages that have 2 H1s. There can only be 1 H1 communicating what the page is all about. And if there's 2, you're causing confusion and declining in rankings. Okay, and here we have Google Search Console, where we would be able to see clicks, impressions, average position, click-through rates. Just like Google Analytics data, Google Search Console helps us determine which pages are performing well and which pages need to be either deleted or combined with something else. Now, this is the part of the audit where I realized that there's something really strange going on with their sitemap. Screaming Frog is able to crawl 56 URLs, and SEMrush is able to crawl all of their blogs, which I realized later Screaming Frog was not crawling. What's the problem here in simple terms? Basically, Screaming Frog is having a hard time crawling the blog. And because it's not crawling the blog, we're not being able to see any insights or any keywords that the website is ranking when it comes to the blog. But we can see them on SEMrush. It could be due to the fact that they're calling them journals. It could be because maybe they didn't upload the sitemap of the blog properly. But that's strange because it is being picked up by SEMrush, but it's not being picked up by Screaming Frog. If I was getting paid to look at this website, I would spend some time in figuring this out, and it might be a fix that takes 10 minutes, or it might be a fix that takes a few hours or a few days. But with that said, here's how we normally audit websites when it comes to keyword performance. Okay, so obviously the first thing we do is we have a quick look at all the keywords that are ranking. In this case, I only see a handful of keywords, but I know that they're ranking for 418 keywords. Now, this is important. This is not the only keywords that they're ranking for. These are the top ranking keywords for each page. So as you can see, we have a column right there called keywords ranked. They might be ranking for 20 keywords in one page, but this is only showing us the top keyword, which is obviously what we're most interested in. Sometimes it's a keyword that we want to be ranking high, and sometimes it's not. So what we like to do early with our clients is find that low-hanging fruit. What are those keywords that are ranking so close to the top that maybe with just a little bit of a push, we can move to positions 3 or 2 on the first page of Google? Or what are the keywords that are ranking at the very top of page 2 of Google that we can kind of push up to the bottom of page 1, those low-hanging fruits? And to do that, the first thing we do is, of course, first identify the keyword, and then we just have to do a little bit of a filtering. So in this case, I'm going to see, well, we only have one keyword in the top 10, and that's bonding app, which makes sense. They're in average position 10. It's the only keyword that is ranking for this page. But in the first page of Google, at the bottom of page 1 of Google, it is the home page. All of this makes sense because, they're called bonding health, and they're an app. So when people are searching for bonding app, it's probably this one. This is what we call a branded keyword. So let's just assume that this is a keyword that matters to me, bonding app, specifically bonding app. So the first thing I do is, of course, go look at the H1. I don't think they have the keyword in the H1. Nope, they do not. Then I go look at the meta description. Then I go look at the meta title. And I just need to make sure that meta description, meta title, the H1, and ideally the URL all have that keyword. And if they don't, this is where you have that golden opportunity to move those low-hanging keywords. Again, this is about doing whatever we can to quickly move the needle on those low-hanging keywords. So instead of showing you how we do that on the Tabula Audit workbook, let me just show you how we do that on SEMrush directly. Okay, so now we're on SEMrush and we're looking at all the organic keywords they're ranking for, and we want to look at only positions 4 to 10. That's the first page of Google. So they have 16 keywords where they are already ranking in the first page of Google. These are all low-hanging keywords, assuming they're keywords that matter to the customer, of course. So the keyword is anger when waking up. If that was a keyword that I want to optimize this page for, then what I need to do is look at the H1, the URL, the description, and the first paragraph. So let's do that. We click on this page. Morning when waking up. So I would change this to how to manage ADHD morning anger when waking up for a smoother start to your day. Again, adding that keyword. I would make sure it's added to early in the first paragraph. Now, it is important to note that changing URLs is not that simple. If your blog is brand new and it's only been around for a couple of weeks and there's not that many backlinks coming to it, okay, go ahead and change it. It's not that big of a deal. But if it's a URL that's existed for a few months or even a few years and it already has a few backlinks, which you can check, then you may want to consider not changing the URL. It's extremely important to have the keyword in that URL, but it's also very important to make sure you have backlinks from other websites. And if you have a lot of backlinks to that URL, changing that URL basically breaks the link. Of course, you can set up 301 redirects, but you lose link juice, power, so to speak, on how much that link helps you improve your SEO. Okay, so moving on with the audit, now we're going to be looking at something very simple, and that's page speed insights. This shows you from a technical standpoint, are there any things that you can do to speed up your website or improve the experience? As you can see, the results came out as 100% for SEO and 96% for best practices on desktop, and I believe also on mobile. To me, this is strange because as I just showed you, there's a lot of things that are wrong with this website when it comes to SEO optimization. I do know that there's ways to manipulate the results of page speed insights and to turn it from 0 to 100. I am not saying that that's the case here, but to me this is a little bit suspicious because when I look under the hood and I do the actual work of looking at the website, this is not at all 100% SEO optimized. The performance scores are the things that I care about the most, to tell you the truth. I don't rely on page speed insights to tell me just how SEO optimized the website is. I do look at it, but it's not what I use as a measurement tool. But what I do like to look at is the performance on mobile and on desktop. Now, be very careful here. You don't want to be going crazy, breaking your back, and spending thousands of dollars to try to get your performance to 100%. Performance is always going to be stronger on your desktop than on your mobile, and that's because mobile has smaller computers, there's just a lot more going on. So the scores you're looking for on desktop on performance, anything 75, 80 and above, great. If you're at 85, spending money trying to get that to 90, it's diminishing returns. Now, don't get me wrong, if you have an internal team or if you really, really want to get the most out of every single thing you do, sure, work to get it higher. But if you're in that 70, 80% score when it comes to performance, you're in a good place. For mobile, that number would be 55 to 60 and above. Now, sometimes your website might have tools that are great for the user experience. For example, you have a pricing calculator. If that pricing calculator is slowing down your site, sometimes that's okay. The question is, how much does it slow you down by? SEO is not just technical, it's not just on page, it's not just off page. SEO is a holistic experience of the user visiting your website. If having that pricing calculator is important for your end consumer, leave it. Everything we just did for page speed insights to look at performance needs to be done across every page. Now we're going to get to one of the most important parts of any SEO audit, and that's looking at backlinks, because backlinks are basically votes of confidence that other websites give you, which boost your rankings. It's hard to get backlinks. It's not an easy thing, and there's many strategies around there. At Tabula, we like to do a lot of digital PR campaigns. We like to build tools for clients, but for the purpose of this audit, what we do is I take the 3 competitors that they have and look at what kind of links they have. What is our target if we want to be ranking just as high as them? What are the websites that we need to get links from? And kind of start building out a list that way. So let's look at that. Okay, so the competitor I'm going to look at is Inflow. We're going to check out Inflow, and then we're going to go ahead and add it here to our backlink analytics. And we're going to add a second competitor, which is Little Otter, which I found a little bit earlier. So we just pasted both domains here on the backlink analytics tool on SEMrush, and we're going to go ahead and compare them. As you can see, Bonding Health has an authority score of 14 versus 39 and 34, so authority score obviously matters. So we can see that GetInflow has the most traffic, they have the most referring domains, and they have the most backlinks, and of course they have naturally the highest authority score. So obviously not every single backlink is the same. You want to have a lot of backlinks, but you want to have more backlinks from highly authoritative websites. Little Otter actually has the most authoritative backlinks with a score of 61 to 100. They have 16 backlinks with 81 to 100 authority, and they have 38 backlinks with 61 to 80, versus Get and Flow, which have 15 and 33, and of course Bonding Health with 2 and 2. So this starts to paint a picture of how many backlinks you need to get if you want to start ranking roughly in the same levels as them. This is how we set targets. This is how we communicated with our clients. The other things we want to look at is categories of where these links are coming from. Now, if this was my client, I would actually focus a lot on mental health and healthcare related websites. So one thing we can actually do is actually look at the specific backlinks that your competitors have. So let's have a look here at what are the healthcare backlinks that Get and Flow actually has. So we can go in here. We're going to go ahead and filter this with authority of 51 to 60 because we want to see those high authority. So we have one from ADD.org. Obviously, ADDA, Attention Deficit Disorder Association, a backlink from something like this is obviously highly beneficial. So moving on in the off-page SEO audit, we're going to be looking at their social media presence. And you're probably wondering, social media, isn't this an SEO audit? And the answer is yes. But off-page SEO is anything that happens outside of SEO. And so with that mentality, anything and everything you do in marketing, whether it's social media, email newsletters, even paid advertising, all of it ties to SEO one way or another. That's why we call ourselves a search-first AI marketing agency, because we understand that everything we do ties to SEO and GEO. And that's how we like to work with our clients. We'll do an audit, we'll find everything that they need to be working on, and we'll say to them, when it comes to off-page SEO, these are the things that you could work on. Here are some of the suggestions. When it comes to technical, these are the things you need to fix. And when it comes to on-page, this is the strategy that I would follow to develop topical authority online. Okay, so let's look at their social media. We're gonna go ahead and click on Instagram. And it looks like they already have content, which is great. Sometimes they don't even have any content. And let's just have a quick look at the reels. Some of them have very good views. We got 15,000, 9,300, 100, 1,000. Okay, now I'm going to show you how you can use AI to generate really good content ideas for social media. But the thing that you need to remember is that your prompt engineering needs to be on point. That means that you need to know exactly what to tell ChatGPT so that you can get the best content output possible. Since I don't have an onboarding questionnaire, what I'm going to do right now is I'm actually just going to go and tell ChatGPT, I'm going to share some information about a company, and once I'm done, I want you to help me better understand their industry, their unique selling propositions, and everything around their brand. So I'm going to go to the website, I'm going to go to their About Us page, I'm going to summarize everything using AI, and of course, if they had other pages with more information like their brand story, how they work, testimonials, features, service, I would take all of that and summarize it. But it seems like Bonding Health only has one page that has content. So I'm going to go ahead and share that content with ChatGPT. Then I'm going to go to Perplexity and I'm going to say, give me top 10 pain points, wants, and needs of people who are in this specific mental health industry. Perplexity is known and it was built to be efficient in doing research, and the answers it gives usually gives great sources. So in fact, let's look at one. An official website of the United States government. That's a very good source to have. Then we have another one here for personalized interventions. This is from JMIR Publications, a very well-respected journal. So obviously you want to go through all of these one by one, making sure that everything you are using before you give it to ChatGPT is reputable and authoritative. So I'm going to go ahead and give it back to ChatGPT. Then I'm going to go back to Perplexity and say, tell me the demographic, psychographic, and behavioral attributes of consumers in this industry. I'm sure you can already connect the dots. We are starting to put together this mastermind of a person or of a bot, so to speak, that understands truly the industry, the pain points, the wants, the needs, the behavioral attributes of the people who Bonding Health is trying to sell to. So with all of that information mixed here in ChatGPT, the next step we're going to do is go ahead and tell, here are insights of the target segment, and share everything that we just collected from Perplexity. And now we're ready for the magic. We're going to go to ChatGPT and we're going to say, give me 10 content ideas for short form videos that I can use to promote Bonding Health, but it needs to make sure it targets my target audience. And look at this. ADHD myth versus fact series, ADHD parenting hacks, what ADHD feels like. These are all great ideas. So again, this is not about just taking these content ideas and running with it. It's very important that you do a deeper dive. If we were doing this for our client, we would take these ideas and look at what competitors are doing, see what the client, of course, is doing. Have these ideas already been tried? Maybe someone already tried doing that content and it didn't work. And if it didn't work, why didn't it? Can we do it better? Or even better, there might be things that I'm not aware of that we could have leveraged. For example, I could have told ChatGPT, we have a studio with 10 people that can help me create content, and we have access to, I don't know, a ginormous budget, or we have access to certain site locations. And then I can say, leverage these assets that we have to help me come up with content ideas. Again, it has to be very, very personalized to you, your brand, your industry. Now let's look at their on-page SEO. This means let's look at everything on the website itself, and I'm gonna start with the blog. Now, like I showed you earlier, unfortunately, I wasn't able to crawl it properly and extract all of their blogs, so I don't know what blog topics they already cover other than that mental health, anger one that we saw together. So I'm just gonna create one from scratch to kind of show you how we put these themes together. There's multiple things you need to do, but this is a good starting point. The first thing I'm gonna do is, considering the consumer and industry insights that you have, create a list of 30 blog recommendations that the audience may find insightful or helpful, and share as a table format with recommended focus keyword. So as you can see, now we're creating a very comprehensive list of blog topics that is directly addressing the pain points, the wants, and the needs of the consumers in this industry who we just made an expert in. Now, of course, you want to make sure you go through all of these topics carefully, make sure they're realistic, they're actually valuable. Now, you're the expert, you as the client, you're the expert in this industry and in this field. So when you review the blog content ideas, you should have that eye to know whether or not your consumers are actually going to want and appreciate this content. Now, we can take this a step further, and we should. And so what we're gonna do is now we're gonna be telling ChatGPT, organize all of these into unique categories for the website to demonstrate topical authority. So now we're gonna be creating this SEO-friendly website hierarchy for the blog. So we're gonna have all of these different topics. As you can see here, we're having, parenting and relationships, ADHD education and awareness. These are all great categories to have for the blog. And the categories, a lot of people don't realize this, but categories really help crawlers, LLMs, and search engines to know exactly how you're organizing the information on your website. The next thing you want to do when you have these categories and this list of blogs is actually look at your competitors, because you can actually see the top performing blogs of your competitors and look at the top performing pages of your competitors and see what's working. And yes, you want to take those ideas and then create content, but with your own tone of voice, with your own insightful ideas, with your own experience and your own expertise around that topic. So in this particular case, I would go to Little Otter and try to find their blog. It's got to be somewhere in here. Here, resources hub, I think that's going to be their blog, and here we go, articles. So I would look at all of these articles to make sure we're covering the things our competitors are covering. We can go to inflow, we can go to the HDHD blog, and as you can see, there's all of these blogs. And of course, there might be other competitors. This is just a high-level audit that I'm doing for Bonding Health, but I would want to make sure that I look at all competitors and make sure we really build a robust blog strategy. This is not just about looking at keywords and building content around it. That's the old way of doing SEO. What you want to do today is create a lot of content that people are looking for. You can use Answer the Public, Uber Suggest, of course, keyword research, look at competitors, use AI. I'm just showing you the way that we do it, but I'm not showing you every single thing we do because this video is already long enough. Look, to give you an idea, we can go ahead and do a keyword gap analysis. So now we're looking at how many keywords their competitors rank compared to Bonding Health. And again, I would use this as a measurement or as a way to set targets for the client and say, look, this is how many keywords they're ranking for, this is where they're ranking. And if we want to get there, these are some of the things that we need to do. It looks like for this type of industry, the best SEO strategy seems to be to answering a lot of common questions that people have, which makes sense if you think about it. Being a parent of an ADHD diagnosed child, I mean, I don't have children, so I don't really know, I can't know for sure what that would be like, but I assume there's a lot of questions that they have, there's a lot of challenges that they're trying to navigate through, and the best thing you can do in an industry like this is answer all of those questions. So with that insight, I would actually go back to Perplexity and ask the following question. I would go and say, what are the top 20 things that parents and children struggle with, just to create those pain points even more so than last time? And here's 20 things 20 specific things that parents struggle with. And I would go back to that same ChatGPT conversation and say, create a list of blog topics that cover all of these pain points. And there you go. Now we have emotional challenges, we have social and stigma related topics. And in other words, we're just further building this blog topic or this blog library of content that is valuable. What you want to do as a last step is make sure that you don't have any cannibalization going on. Make sure that you don't have any blog topic being done twice already, that everything's segmented properly, assign focus keywords to each. And now you have yourself a very robust, very data-driven blog strategy to start pumping content while someone else in the team is focusing on the technical side of SEO and the off-page side of SEO. Okay, and the last thing, and probably the most important thing when it comes to doing SEO and whenever we work with a client, is building that topical authority website map. And it's not the same thing as a sitemap from a crawler standpoint that we've been talking about, but a sitemap of what are all the pages and blogs and resources that we want to have that is going to position you as an authority in your space. Now, because Bonding Health deals with mental health and just health-related topics, they really need to make sure that they get their EEAT right. EEAT is a guideline or a policy that Google put together that stands for experience, expertise, authoritativeness, and trust. If you are in any industry that has to do with health or money, things that are really important to you, what they call it my money, your life type of website, then you really need to make sure you address these things more than every website. Every website should address EEAT, but more so if you are in healthcare and financial services. So for that reason, I would really focus on having those about me pages, pages related to psychologists, pages related to any white papers that we have published as who are the experienced professionals behind this app, because we're dealing with health matters. This is something very important that we need to get right, and it's something that needs to be included in the website map that we put together. So let's look at really quickly, kind of sped up, halfway through of what this process would look like for us. So I'm going to go back to the website map that we looked at earlier, and I'm going to start breaking it all apart into different categories. We already know that there's a lot of pieces that are missing. They're missing URL hierarchy. So as you can see, anything labeled in green are pages that they already have and it already exists. If it's a red that says needs approval, these are pages that we're going to be adding. And as you can see, I'm slowly working my way through trying to see where I want to organize these pages, because I'm realizing a lot of these pages either need to be deleted because they don't exist, or it's a 404 error, or I just need to speak to the client to see what it is they're trying to achieve. So I think you have a good idea of what I'm trying to do here, organize the pages. So what I'm going to do now, just for the purpose of showing you how we work, I'm going to go ahead and add at the bottom here, add. It's not ADD, but add. These are the pages we need to add. So we need a resources page, just a general page that's going to house all of the resources that they can have. We need some testimonials. We also need to make sure that we add, like I told you, all of those EEAT pages. So for example, Litter Otter, they have white papers. They have assessments and toolkits. They have a lot of things. They have press, things that demonstrate authority. So we need similar things. So I'm going to go ahead and show you some of the pages that I would recommend that we add. But of course, by no means is this complete. So some of the things that they can add include, press, white papers, psychologist network. Maybe they have a network of psychologists. Emotional support, ADHD in teens and adults. Maybe there's a resource that they do specifically for teens and adults. Diagnosis and treatment options. Again, we need to make sure we build a very full and very rich sitemap so that crawlers can come in and immediately know what your website is all about. And you're going to be well on your way to improving your organic traffic and even improving how often you are recognized and mentioned on generative large language models like ChatGPT. And that's called GEO. So hopefully you learned something new about SEO and you have a better understanding as to why SEO looks so different from one website to another. Some websites might have great technical performance and some might have terrible technical performance but great content, and vice versa. Sometimes linking is the priority. Sometimes they already have a lot of great backlinks but they don't have a good interlinking structure to distribute that link juice. It's just different for every single website. So that's why having your own audit done by a professional always makes the most sense. This is how we do things here in Tabula. Of course, we didn't show absolutely every single step, but we showed you the most important part, which is how we kind of have a look at your website before we log into your Google Search Console, before your Google Analytics, and give you some recommendations of what we believe is going to help push your online presence forward. So if you learned anything new, I would appreciate it if you left me a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. We're going to be doing lots of audit videos. Thank you so much for watching. And if you want to have a discovery call with us to see how we can help your website grow, just go to www.yourtabula.com. tabula.com. Book your free consultation and we'll make sure to go over your website in detail and see what we can do to help.